If you're on the financial independence and retire early journey, have you ever asked yourself, what am I going to be retiring to? Do you stop to think about what life is going to look like after you no longer have to worry about work or you stop working altogether? I think a lot of people, and rightfully so, spend a lot of their time thinking about the finances and getting their money where it needs to be and are continuing to follow that journey, but they might lose sight of what life is going to look like after they've reached that goal. So in this video, I'm going to share a list of 10 things that I think helped me achieve a pretty smooth transition from full-time work, and maybe it's something that will help you as well. By the way, my name is Josh. I retired in April of 2025 after 25 years in the corporate world, and I'm still a rookie retiree. So number one for me was purpose. I didn't really think very deeply on this one leading up to the end of my career, but I really knew that I wanted to do things that would help people in a variety of ways. These weren't like big, audacious dreams. I knew that I didn't have any desire to change the world, so to speak, but I wanted to be able to be available to share my time, share my experiences, share any wisdom that I might have had or gained in the first 48 years of my life. So that was at the forefront. And in the first 5 or 6 weeks, I've had a few examples of that have really stood out to me. Just a couple of them last week as an example. I was able to help my daughter's boyfriend find a car. He was struggling with the car that he had, having a lot of repair issues. And he reached out to me one day, and it was short notice, and he's like, hey, could you spend some time with me looking for a car today? So we had like 7 or 8 hours together. I was able to drop everything and help him help him navigate through the process, talking to the people and the dealerships and all of that goes along with that process. So that was it just felt very rewarding to be able to help him with that. Another one was my son had some issues with his brakes, and on a Friday morning he sent me a text and said, hey, do you have some time today? You can help me? And I was able to drop everything and just say, yeah, come on over, bring it over, let's tear it apart and figure out what's going on. A couple of other things that I've been able to spend some time doing, and some of these things started before I left full-time work, was some money coaching, some helping out some people who looked for some advice on how they can better manage their money, and that also has been very rewarding. The second thing that helped me out quite a bit was having a routine. So I mentioned in a previous video that what my day looks like Monday through Thursday. My wife still works, and so we had a routine where we still have a routine where we get up at 5 o'clock every morning. We call it our slow start, where we have a couple cups of coffee, we do some reading, and just kind of have some quiet time to basically just wake up. And then by 6 o'clock, we're starting our exercise routine. So I think really having a routine is very valuable. It's instead of just kind of like letting the day come to us, now that I'm not working full time, I'm being more intentional with how I'm going to start my day and then what I'm going to do throughout my day. And the third thing for me that really helped me as I was nearing this transition was really just spending time imagining what my day was going to look like, what my days were going to look like. And one of the things that helped me out quite a bit was this book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, the journal from Ramit Sethi. And one of the exercises in the first chapter, my wife and I bought these journals a couple of years ago, and we really never got past chapter 2. But one of the exercises that he shared or asked you to work through was what your perfect day was going to look like. And for me, this was a little over 2 years ago. I knew that I was planning to leave full-time work sometime in the next couple of years. Didn't know the exact date at that time, but some of the things that I wrote down it's just in time block order. Was I thought I was going to be able to sleep in a little bit later, and I'm able to do that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I put sleep until 6 or 7 a.m., wake up, have coffee, and read, so still have that. That's what my days look like. exercise after that, had an hour blocked out for that, blocked out for breakfast. And then really the heart of the day was working. I put 3 days a week because I really didn't know exactly what life was going to look like. But I knew there were things that I wanted to accomplish, projects, things that I was working on. I have a lot of different hobbies. I kind of consider a lot of the side hustles and things that I do as some form of work. So I blocked out like 3 or 4 hours for that. And then in the afternoon, I had some downtime. And then in the early evening, I had make and eat dinner. And then after dinner was a variety of things that I thought I could do during my evenings. And these were things that I was probably already doing to some extent, but walking or hiking, doing some work with furniture. At the time, my wife and I were doing a lot of like furniture flip type stuff. And then spending time with family and friends before like 8 or 9 o'clock, having an hour or so to watch TV or play a game and then sleep. So really the point of that was that it really helped me kind of imagine what life was going to look like instead of just kind of like getting into it and figuring it out, or just having like an idea of what is life going to look like, just kind of guessing. That exercise, I think I've gone back to it and reflected on it several times, that, you know, even then just going through it, and it's kind of what my life looks like now. It's in the first 5 or 6 weeks here post full-time work, that's how I'm spending my time. So I think that's very helpful to kind of imagine what your days are going to look like. The fourth thing that helped me out quite a bit was making a list of my plans. A couple of weeks, or maybe it was a couple of months before leaving my full-time job, my wife and I were talking about some of the things that I was going to do. She was asking questions like, how are you going to, what are you going to do in your first week? What are you going to do in your first month? So I really didn't know. I had all these ideas. I had a variety of different lists of things written down, things that I wanted to help people with, or projects that I wanted to do around our house. So she's like, okay, she went and grabbed a laptop, brought it in, started making all these different tabs of, here's a list of things that we're going to do for our rental properties, because we have a handful of those. These are some of the projects we want to do around our home. These are some of the ideas that we have for YouTube, because I have another YouTube channel that is all about DIY stuff. And then a list of projects for people. So it was very good to consolidate all of those ideas into one spot, so then we could then start to give some form of prioritization to those tasks. And I haven't completely followed that prioritization strategy, but it gives me a place to at least start to think about, as I'm looking out over the next week or a couple of weeks, these are the things that I really need to be maybe starting to spend my time on, and I can kind of plan my week. And then so the next thing, number 5 for me, that has really helped out quite a bit is planning. And I use Cal Newport's time block planner. This is basically just a version of a daily planner that I used in my working career, and it was a way that you can kind of go through and assign each of your tasks or responsibilities with a specific block of time. And I've just carried that over from my work career into my now retirement career or journey. And so going back to imagining what my days were going to look like, and then reviewing the list of things that I have on my to-do list, I then take that information and put it into the time block planner on a daily and weekly basis. So I can kind of map out what my week is going to look like, when I'm going to do those things, and kind of the time that I think that those tasks will take. I don't completely follow that super strictly, because like I mentioned in item number 1, things come up, and I use pencil whenever I'm creating my schedule, so that I can just kind of quickly go through and erase things and do some rescheduling and things like that. But that's been very helpful for me to just kind of continue that same practice of ensuring that I am doing some version of planning on a daily basis. Generally Monday through Thursday. Friday is a little more loose, and then the weekends is definitely a lot looser than the Monday through Thursday. Number 6 is hobbies. So I already had several. I've already mentioned a couple of them here, but I really tried to spend time with the hobbies that I already had, and then trying to look and explore other hobbies too. So some of the things that I had a list when I left, or as I was nearing the end of full-time work, of all the things that I wanted to spend my time on. A lot of those things I've already been able to like step into and experiment with. But there was a few things on there that I had that I haven't gotten to yet, and it might just be because of the season. But things like getting back to learning how to play guitar, or getting back to learning how to speak German. Those are things that are probably definitely more longer term and might be better suited for the colder months. Right now, there's a lot of my hobbies involve outdoor activities, so biking, hiking, gardening, and those kind of things. And I try to put those into my schedule. I don't always find as much time as I thought that I was going to have to do those things. Unfortunately, I'll put in there that I want to take 2 bike rides this week or 1 hike this week, and then I reflect back, or I don't have them like clearly scheduled. I'll just have it loosely as like a task that I want to complete for the week, and then the week comes and goes, and I realize that I didn't do those things. So it's something I need to actually get a little bit better at. But hobbies is definitely, I mean, I think everybody, that's kind of like a cliche. It's something that everybody's going to say, I'm going to spend more time on my hobbies, but you have to be intentional with that, because time will pass very quickly. And if you get caught up in a lot of other things, then, and don't spend time being intentional with that time that you have for hobbies, you might find that you don't have it. Number 7 is side hustles. So over the last several years, I've had a variety of things that have been part hobby, but part paid hobby as well. So I've spent some time being a handyman. I'm a landlord, I have a handful of rental properties, and then I've done some furniture making as well as furniture flipping. So I think exploring as you're navigating through that financial independence journey and nearing that retirement is just what kind of activities are you good at that you might be able to monetize in some way. I mentioned YouTube earlier as another example, but there's probably things that you enjoy doing that you might find that you can make a little bit of extra money on or money with, and those are some of the examples that have been that I've explored over the last several years. Some of them I've started and stopped, and some of them I'm looking forward to getting back to. So definitely that is one thing that has helped kind of smooth the transition, is knowing that if I needed to, I could pick up 1 or 2 or more of those side hustles, and it gave me a level of confidence that I could continue to make some extra money if I really needed to. Number 8, go into it with the mindset of trying new things. That's one thing that I thought, hey, I know myself. I know that these are the things that I want to do and how I'm going to spend my time. And just in a very short period of time, I've already started to experiment with things like this new YouTube channel, and we'll see where this goes or how long I stick with it. But some other things that I've already picked up that I didn't even necessarily have on my list, like gardening. I created a raised garden bed and I already have some things planted. I did some gardening probably 8 or 10 years ago, maybe even longer ago than that, but haven't done anything vegetable gardening related other than like flowers and plants and things like that. So that was something that wasn't even really high on my list, or maybe not even on my radar, but I was able to kind of get into that. And I think I was inspired by some friends who had some gardens that they were starting this year. So this YouTube channel, again, I mentioned earlier, is just something that I didn't even consider was something that I was interested in telling my story. But as I was kind of going through the process of planning and routine and all of that, I thought, well, I'm going to kind of figure out a way to document some of this, and maybe it'll be helpful for somebody else. So this is another example of something that popped up. And then volunteering, aside from the number 1 item, which was purpose and helping people, I've started to realize that there's more opportunity. That when you hear volunteering, sometimes I had the mindset of it was something that I maybe wasn't really interested in. So I've opened my eyes a little bit more to things that I think are available that are interesting to me that I can spend some time volunteering. So gardening is just maybe one example. Going back to that again, my wife and I took a hike the other day and found a spot that wasn't very far from us, and it's a whole like volunteer organization that runs the trails and the gardens that are around those trails, and just like the whole property. It's all volunteer run, and they're actively looking for additional support. So that's something that I'm considering. And so that I think that just being open-minded and trying new things is definitely something that can help smooth that transition from full-time work to retirement. Number 9 for me is being okay with change and being okay with rescheduling. So I come from a background that is all about planning and scheduling. That was the department that I was in, production planning. And so everything that we did was looking further out into the future, trying to put together the best plan possible. And when things changed and there was some reason to reschedule, it was kind of frustrating. There was a lot of work that was put in up front to build out that schedule, and then when things fell through and you had to reschedule, it was a lot of extra work. And I've kind of carried that mindset, I think, a little bit with me as I went through and I talk about my days and how I put together my plan and how I look through the week, and then something pops up, like somebody asks for my help, or my son wants to come over and take a look at his brakes, and I set aside all the things that I was going to do for that day. I'm continuing to tell myself that that's okay. It's okay that your plans change. It can be a little bit, I don't know, frustrating is probably too strong of a word, but you have the list of things that you're going to do for that day, and then something changes. It's just being okay with that, and knowing that, hey, I have every day off for here until who knows when. So it's not as critical as it once was, where if I had only my Saturday or Sunday to be able to get some of these things completed, and then there was a disruption, it like really, it was tough, and I'm still like undoing some of those that past mindset. The 10th thing for me that has been very helpful in helping me through a smooth transition is just journaling and reflecting on how things are going. So I mentioned the time block planner. I'm trying to keep little notes in there on a daily basis, like, did I overcommit myself? Was I lazy today? Or did I schedule too much or too little? Or was I able to do other things? Or did I have something scheduled and then I completely changed my own mind? I mean, did I change what my plan was for myself, or did somebody else change my plan? And just trying to kind of keep track of what my experiences are has been very helpful for me, and not only helping me to decide how I can spend and schedule my time going forward, but going back to my hobbies, and one of my top priorities was being active and taking those bike rides and walking and hiking and all that. And then I see sometimes I'm not spending as much time doing those things. So I know that I need to just tweak things a little bit, make sure that I'm making that time that I say that I really want to give to those things. So I hope this was helpful. If you found this video to be helpful, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you have any comments or suggestions, or if any of these tips resonated with you or were helpful in any way. Thanks for watching. Whew, how long was that?